So, Kevin, nice to meet you. So, why work on or why select 22 as the subject of this short?
We had different options. We had different ideas. One thing that came up as we were making Soul is we were digging deeply into Joe's life, and 22, it was always this conjecture of what made her the way she is, what is her history. And so it was an ongoing conversation throughout the movie, but not in terms of, oh, we're going to make a short movie about this. That just happened toward the end of production when we decided to make a short, and this idea came up. And yeah, for me, it was natural. It was something I really wanted to explore because I had so many thoughts about that.
Excellent. So you also have, you were the editor on Soul. You were editing Up and Inside Out as well, and then working as assistant editor prior to that. What about being an editor helps prepare you for directing a short of your own?
There's a couple of the two biggest things are you have a front row seat to the director, and especially how lucky I was to be sitting with Pete Docter for 15 years and watching him direct and watching him grow as a director. And, so that's just as like priceless as far as having an education or, a school. And then especially in animation, we're so deeply involved in all aspects of the production, from pre-production writing and storyboarding, but also the camera department we work very closely with, unlike in live action where, you're sitting in a cutting room and they're on the set. We actually get to interact with them constantly. I go to animation dailies when I'm an editor. So every day I see, especially Pete was one of the greatest animators, so I got to watch him direct animators for all this time. So I think it's just having that sort of education really makes it a lot easier coming into directing.
So which do you prefer, editing or directing?
I like them both. Personally, I like editing short subject things. Editing an animated feature is a sort of a lifetime commitment. It's like, you're talking about a big chunk of your life.
Right.
Shorts, I like the term, I like short fiction too, but I love editing. So I'm going to be editing again. So it's really not, I'm lucky in that now there's two things I like doing.
Excellent. So did you edit the short 22 versus Earth?
No,
You had
someone. Noah Newman did. And,
okay.
And that's one of the things I sort of told myself is I wanted to direct and I wanted to learn one of the hardest things is learning how to direct your particular, specialty. So, so I made it a point to try to not do that.
Excellent. So, given that you're working within the Soul universe, you've already got a very distinct visual palette that's been defined for the original film. You're working within that universe, within that world. What kind of steps did you take? What did you do to make this your own? How did you put your own personal stamp on this short?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, yeah, when you're working with something that's established and following a director like Pete Docter, you cannot put your own, I'm not going to go out and make, something different. But there are subtle ways you can do it. I got an Apocalypse Now reference into a Pixar movie, and I try to, I think the movie, the script, especially by Josh Cooley, who I worked closely with before and who I'm totally in line with as far as our cynicism and everything, I think we got a fair amount of that into the movie, So it's a matter of degree and still honoring what you're working from. I'm not going to go out and make a different Soul movie. That's not
right.
There'd be no point in that.
Right. I also love Josh's work. A long time ago, I bought these. He had a series of like animation, golden book animations done
Oh yeah,
from,
yeah.
he did those
Movies are
clips from
fun.
like Silence of the Yes, movies are fun. Yes,
Yeah,
I have a series of those at home and here in the house, and I just absolutely love that work, and I love what he did on Toy Story 4. So
yeah.
I know working with him must have been really a great
Oh yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
I noticed that you also have a Resner and Ross score here with the
Yes.
short. Tell me about working with them. Did they design something specific for the short?
No, we used existing
Okay.
score from
Okay.
Soul. So the work with them was on Soul, and then they graciously let us use this because, you know, that, for a short, you're not going to get Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to do.
Right.
You know, they're busy and they. Um, so my feeling was I'd rather, and especially their tracks are so layered. I mean, there's so much going on in the different tracks that they deliver that by making subtle little changes, pulling a track out or lowering things, and you can tailor that score because it was close enough to the short, you know, what it was written for. Um, that just worked out better than asking someone to just copy them, you know.
Right.
So.
So I assume that you worked on this remotely because of the pandemic. How did that complicate the creation of the short for you?
So we started it, we were still in the studio. We had done a storyboard pass. We had recorded the kids, but we hadn't recorded Tina yet. And then we went home. And so, yeah, it was a huge, for the crew, it's just amazing how quickly they adapted and were able to get this thing done. And, you know, pretty much on schedule, or very much on schedule. Because, you know, one day you're working in the studio, the next day they're at home and their internet may not be fast enough. We move a ton of data for what we do compared to
Sure.
just surfing the internet, you know.
Right.
And then they have, most of the crew had young kids, and they're all of a sudden they're home from school and there's no daycare available and everybody's learning how to do that. And that's exactly when we started production, is literally the, you know, the second or third week of quarantine. So and it was amazing what everybody did and how quickly they did it and adapted.
Excellent. Last question for you. I love the jump cut at the end where 22 starts to talk about the meaning of life, and then it just, or it's not 22.
Yeah,
It's the guardians.
yeah, counselor.
Yeah, counselors. What do you think the meaning of life is?
I asked that question and I refused to answer. um,
I have expected
it's a movie.
I have
It's a
expected to
moving.
just stop.
It's a moving target, and so I put that out there so hopefully people think about that and give it some thought. That's why it's there,
Leave you
rather than
thinking.
being told.
Yes, absolutely. Well, those are all the questions I had for you today, Kevin. Thank you so much for the time, and I really enjoyed the short.
Thank you.